Imagine ripping open an entire city, burying 6 lanes of highway beneath homes, rivers, and flood zones, all for $15.4 billion. This is the River Torrens to Darlington project, and it's not just Australia's largest infrastructure project ever built. It's a surgical operation on a living city, threading 10.5 kilometers of motorway beneath one of the country's most congested urban corridors. 3 massive tunnel-boring machines will dig simultaneously, in Australian first, each one longer than a Boeing 747, grinding through clay, sand, and limestone, while thousands of people live, work, and sleep directly above them. The question isn't whether Adelaide can survive this. The question is how they're even attempting it. To understand why Adelaide is spending more money on a single road than some countries spend on their entire infrastructure, you need to understand what South Road has become. Adelaide is Australia's only mainland capital city without a non-stop motorway in its metropolitan area. While Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane built their urban expressways decades ago, Adelaide's primary north-south artery remained a surface street carrying over 120,000 vehicles every single day. The numbers paint a picture of daily misery. During peak hours, the average speed along this corridor drops to just 20 kilometers per hour. That's slower than most people can ride a bicycle. At its worst, between Torrens Road and Port Road, morning traffic crawls at an average of just 7 kilometers per hour. You could walk faster, but speed isn't even the worst of it. The crash rate along this section is 11 times higher than on the Northern Expressway, the motorway that already exists further north. 11 times. Over 60,000 vehicles squeeze through here daily, and more than 13% of them are commercial trucks, vital for moving freight to Adelaide's port, airport, and the National Highway network. A study by the Australian Automobile Association found Adelaide was the second most congested city in Australia, behind only Melbourne, with the lowest average traffic speeds of any capital. And here's what makes it worse. While every other Australian city saw congestion fall after 2019, Adelaide went the opposite direction. Hours lost to traffic increased by 16%, while peer cities saw a 27% drop. The economic damage is staggering. Without intervention, this congestion costs South Australia more than $230 million every year in lost productivity. Daily car trips across the city are expected to increase by 26% by 2031, potentially reaching 6.2 million trips per day. The city's inner western suburbs remain divided by an arterial road that acts more like a wall than a thoroughfare, separating neighborhoods that should be connected. Adelaide has known about this problem for decades. South Road's history dates back to 1842. The government began building the north-south corridor in stages. The South Road Superway in 2014, the Torrens to Torrens lowered motorway in 2018, the Darlington upgrade in 2020. But the 10.5-kilometer section through Adelaide's dense inner suburbs, this final link, was always going to be the hardest. Discussions started in the early 2000s. It took until 2024 for construction to finally begin. The solution Adelaide chose is audacious. Twin tunnels running up to 25 meters beneath the surface, carrying 3 lanes of traffic in each direction at 80 kilometers per hour. The southern tunnels stretch 4.5 kilometers from Darlington to south of Anzac Highway. The northern tunnels run 2.2 kilometers from James Congdon Drive to south of Grange Road. Between them, a 2.5-kilometer open motorway section connects everything together while providing access to Adelaide Airport, the CBD, and major arterial roads. But not everyone is convinced this is money well spent. An early cost-benefit analysis painted a sobering picture, a ratio of just 0.7. That means for every dollar spent, South Australia would only get 70 cents back in economic benefits. Critics argue the $15.4 billion could transform Adelaide's entire public transport network instead, moving more people with less environmental impact. And there's another concern. What happens when 6 lanes of tunnel traffic suddenly merge back onto suburban roads at the southern end? Some fear this mega project won't eliminate Adelaide's worst traffic jam. It will simply relocate it. The machines that will carve this underground highway are engineering marvels in their own right. Three heron-necked tunnel-boring machines, each approximately 100 meters long and 15 meters in diameter. To put that in perspective, the diameter is roughly the height of the goalposts at Adelaide Oval. Each machine weighs 3,500 tons when fully assembled, the equivalent of 700 adult elephants. The cutter head alone, the rotating disc of cutting tools at the front, weighs 175 tons at its heaviest section and arrives in 5 separate pieces that must be welded together over 8 weeks. Getting these machines to Adelaide is a logistical operation almost as impressive as the tunneling itself. Components are manufactured in Germany and China, assembled and tested in China, then shipped by sea to Port Adelaide. From there, specialized trucks transport pieces through Adelaide during nighttime road closures. The main drive alone weighs 370 tons, requiring special permits and police escorts for every journey. Once on site, assembly takes approximately 6 months per machine. A 500-ton gantry crane lifts components into position within the launch box, a massive pit created by diaphragm walls extending up to 38 meters underground. That's the height of a 12-story building, inverted beneath the earth. The southern precinct launch box alone measures 1,300 meters long and 100 meters wide. When tunneling begins, each TBM operates like a mobile factory. The cutter head rotates, grinding through Adelaide's variable geology at 8 to 10 meters per day, roughly the length of a London double-decker bus every 24 hours. As the machine advances, it simultaneously installs precast concrete lining segments behind it. Over 55,000 of these segments will be manufactured at a purpose-built facility at Waterloo Corner, spanning 285 meters long and 25 meters wide. The excavated spoil, and there will be mountains of it, travels via enclosed conveyor to acoustic spoil handling, sheds at the surface. The project will generate between 7.5 and 8 million tons of earth, enough to fill over 3,200 Olympic swimming pools. Testing, categorizing, and hauling this material to approved disposal sites requires an entire logistics operation running 24 hours a day. But digging tunnels beneath a city isn't just about moving dirt, it's about what you don't destroy. The tunnel alignment had to thread between heritage sites that couldn't be touched. The state heritage listed the Barton Theatre, opened in 1928, Queen of Angels Church, Henmarsh Cemetery, a World War II air raid shelter at Ashley Street, and a 1912 kiln and chimney near the Brickworks Marketplace. The hybrid tunnel design was specifically configured to preserve every one of them. Then there's the water. The tunnels pass mostly below the water table, requiring careful groundwater management to prevent uplift pressure and subsidence. The corridor intersects Keswick Creek and Brown Hill Creek, both with long histories of flooding. Under existing conditions, a 100-year flood event could inundate the South Road corridor between Sir Donald Bradman Drive and Anzac Highway. Portal structures have been designed to resist catastrophic flooding, and a parallel $200 million stormwater project is simultaneously upgrading flood protection infrastructure. Operating 3 TBMs simultaneously is an Australian first. Up to 20 people work inside each machine around the clock, including TBM operators, electricians, mechanics, ring builders, and tunnel engineers. Tunneling activities run 24 hours per day, 7 days per week. If engineering on this scale fascinates you, consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive. The human cost of building this corridor has already been significant. The project required compulsory acquisition of 524 properties, including 66 residential homes and 54 commercial properties. Owners had to be contacted, compensated, and relocated before construction could begin. Nearly 5 kilometers of utility services, gas, water, power, telecommunications, had to be relocated. More than 700 boreholes were drilled, totaling over 18 kilometers of geotechnical investigation, collecting nearly 1,400 soil and rock samples. But the project is also creating something. approximately 5,500 jobs per year during main construction, with 90% of labor hours undertaken by South Australians. A 6% Aboriginal employment target, over 600 roles for apprentices and trainees, opportunities for more than 220 long-term unemployed people. More than 189 contracts already awarded, totaling approximately $350 million before TBM tunneling even begins. There's even a public ritual connecting Adelaide to tunneling tradition. A naming competition invited South Australians to name the TBMs, following a custom dating back to the 1500s, where female names are chosen to honor St. Barbara, patron saint of tunnelers. Nearly 2,000 names have been submitted, including Julia Drillard, Diggy Azalea, and the Drill Top Hoods. When the tunnels open, expected by 2031, the transformation will be immediate. Motorists will bypass 21 sets of traffic lights between the River Torrens and Darlington. The commute from West Hindmarsh to Darlington will take just 9 minutes. Up to 40 minutes of peak hour travel time, gone. Approximately 130,000 weekday vehicle trips will flow underground, roughly one car entering every 0.7 seconds during peak periods. The completed 78-kilometer north-south corridor from Gawler to Old Noarlunga, roughly the distance from London's Heathrow Airport to Luton Airport, will be entirely non-stop and traffic light-free. For 96% of Greater Adelaide's population, this changes how they move through their city. But perhaps the most profound impact will be on the surface. Urban renewal opportunities along the corridor, new green spaces, community amenities, improved pedestrian and cycling connections. The inner western suburbs, divided for generations by an arterial road that acted like a wall, can finally be stitched back together. Adelaide spent decades watching other Australian cities build their motorways, while South Road remained a parking lot. Now the city is performing surgery on itself, burying 6 lanes of highway beneath neighborhoods, heritage sites, and flood zones. It's a $15.4 billion bet that tunnels can heal what roads alone cannot, the fractures in a city divided by its own success. Whether that bet pays off, or whether the critics are right that the money could have been better spent, only time will tell. The question isn't whether Adelaide can build this. They already are. The question is what city emerges on the other side. If this story made you think, hit the bell to get notified when we publish. And if you have thoughts or know of another mega project we should cover, drop a comment below. What would you name one of these massive tunnel boring machines? And what's the most congested road in your city that desperately needs this treatment? Thanks for watching.